You can't stop the cheering.
I cannot. My box
Is stuck.
broken. My box is finally broken. Wow.
I think it's been broken since 1985.
Wow. Okay, that was A.G. Garland, who said a lot of the right things. Let's see what happens now.
He says the right things quite often.
Yes,
but actions,
the legal ladies and lads that I trust all seemed heartened by it. So I will, right? Glenn Kirshner, Barb McQuaid, Joyce White Vance, Neil Katyal seemed heartened by what he said. That he did say the right things, but I don't. Okay, can I just say why I can't? I realize why I don't watch Morning Joe right before we come on.
Right.
Because you know how I'm always about to stroke out in the first segment anyway.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Believe just like right before the top of the hour, Joe was saying something about how it's incumbent now on. Let me see if I can get this right. Both parties, because both sides do it. Both parties to, speak truth and condemn. Because both sides do it, Travis. You know how that is.
Yes.
Both sides, as you know, we both. Okay, so that was the thing that I think Joy Reid and Elie Mystal lost their shizzle over. Is Merrick Garland did say something like that the violent threats on both sides, it has no partisan stripe, and that was the part where I also lost my shizzle, because this most decidedly is one side does it. The anniversary.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, happy Clanniversary. I stole that from somebody. I don't know who. Someone on Twitter.
The vice president is speaking right now. If you would like to.
Let's go live. The vice president is speaking, and and then the president will speak.
I was also a United States Senator, and I was here at the Capitol that morning at a classified hearing with fellow members of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Hours later, the gates of the Capitol were breached. I had left, but my thoughts immediately turned not only to my colleagues, but to my staff, who had been forced to seek refuge in our office, converting filing cabinets into barricades. What the extremists who roamed these halls targeted was not only the lives of elected leaders. What they sought to degrade and destroy was not only a building, hallowed as it is. What they were assaulting were the institutions, the values, the ideals that generations of Americans
Thank you.
have marched,
Driving us in
picketed,
radio nerds.
and shed
Crazy.
blood to establish and defend.
We can fix democracy next. Let's
January
fix the audio
6th,
feed first.
We all saw what our nation would look like if the forces who seek to dismantle our democracy are successful. The lawlessness, the violence, the chaos. What was at stake then and now is the right to have our future decided the way the Constitution prescribes it, by we, the people, all the people. We cannot let our future be decided by those bent on silencing our voices, overturning our votes, and peddling lies and misinformation, by some radical faction that may be newly resurgent, but whose roots run old and deep. When I meet with young people, they often ask about the state of our democracy, about January 6th. And what I tell them is January 6th reflects the dual nature of democracy, its fragility and its strength. You see, the strength of democracy is the rule of law. The strength of democracy is the principle that everyone should be treated equally, that elections should be free and fair, that corruption should be given no quarter. The strength of democracy is that it empowers the people. And the fragility of democracy is this, that if we are not vigilant, if we do not defend it, democracy simply will not stand. It will falter and fail. The violent assault that took place here, the very fact of how close we came to an election overturned, that reflects the fragility of democracy. Yet, the resolve I saw in our elected leaders when I returned to the Senate chamber that night, their resolve not to yield, but to certify the election, their loyalty not to party or person, but to the Constitution of the United States, that reflects its strength. And so, of course, does the heroism of the Capitol Police, the DC Metropolitan Police Department, the National Guard, and other law enforcement officers who answered the call that day, including those who later succumbed to wounds, both visible and invisible. Our thoughts are with all of the families who have lost a loved one. You know, I wonder, how will January 6th come to be remembered in the years ahead? Will it be remembered as a moment that accelerated the unraveling of the oldest, greatest democracy in the world? Or a moment when we decided to secure and strengthen our democracy for generations to come? The American spirit is being tested. The answer to whether we will meet that test resides where it always has resided in our country, with you, the people. And the work ahead will not be easy. Here in this very building, a decision will be made about whether we uphold the right to vote and ensure free and fair elections. Let's be clear, we must pass the voting rights bills that are now before the Senate. And the American people must also do something more. We cannot sit on the sidelines. We must unite in defense of our democracy in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our prosperity and posterity. That is the preamble of the Constitution that President Biden and I swore an oath to uphold and defend. And that is the enduring promise of the United States of America. My fellow Americans, it is my honor to introduce a public servant with the character and fortitude to meet this moment, a leader whose life's work has been moving our nation toward that more perfect union, President Joe Biden.
There's
Right.
no audience to applaud or anything.
Yeah.
That's kind of odd.
They fix the echo. That's all we care about. We're in radio.
Statuary Hall is very echoey.
Okay.
Madam Vice President,
Don't laugh. This is a solemn day.
fellow Americans,
Yes.
to state the obvious, 1 year ago today, in this sacred place, democracy was attacked, simply attacked. The will of the people was under assault. The Constitution, our Constitution, faced the gravest of threats. Outnumbered in the face of a brutal attack, the Capitol Police the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department, the National Guard, and other brave law enforcement officials saved the rule of law. Our democracy held. We, the people, endured. We, the people, prevailed. For the first time in our history, a president had not just lost an election, he tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power as a violent mob breached the Capitol. But they failed. They failed. And on this day of remembrance, we must make sure that such attack never happens again. I'm speaking to you today from Statuary Hall in the United States Capitol. This is where the House of Representatives met for 50 years in the decades leading up to the Civil War. This is on this floor where young Congressman of Illinois, Abraham Lincoln, sat at desk 191. Above him, above us, over that door leading into the rotunda, is a sculpture depicting Cleo, the muse of history. In her hands, an open book in which she records the events taking place in this chamber below. Cleo stood watch over this hall 1 year ago today, as she has for more than 200 years. She recorded what took place.
She needs some Genucel.
The real history. The real facts.
Stop it.
The real
Stop
truth.
making jokes. This is solemn.
The facts and the truth that Vice President Harris just shared, and that you and I and the whole world saw with our own eyes. The Bible tells us that we shall know the truth, and the truth shall make us free. We shall know the truth. Well, here is the God's truth about January 6, 2021. Close your eyes. Go back to that day. What do you see? Rioters rampaging, waving for the first time inside this Capitol Confederate flag that symbolized the cause to destroy America, to rip us apart. Even during the Civil War, that never, ever happened. But it happened here in 2021. What else do you see? A mob breaking windows, kicking in doors, breaching the Capitol. American flags on poles being used as weapons, as spears. Fire extinguishers being thrown at the heads of police officers. A crowd that professes their love for law enforcement assaulted those police officers, dragged them, sprayed them, stomped on them. Over 140 police officers were injured.
Okay, we have to break. Oh, by the way, let's also celebrate that Tucker Carlson has turned on Ted Cruz for vaguely defending Capitol Police officers. Fight, fight, fight. Big bag of rats. You're all equally awful. Okay, we have a huge January 6th show. We have Carl Frisch. We have Dr. Doom, who will discuss whether COVID or this is a greater threat to America right now. We have Representative Annie Custer, who was in the gallery, one of the few representatives who was there and deeply traumatized, like many. We have Dana Goldberg, and we have Representative Maxine Waters.
Yeah. That was a late ad.
We will go to church. They called us. I called back immediately. I'm like, yes.